Ryan Carter had spent the last 6 months doing everything he could to stay invisible. He arrived at work before sunrise, left long after everyone else, skipped office parties, avoided executive meetings, and never volunteered for presentations. It wasn't because he hated his job. It was because of one person, his CEO. Every time she walked into a room, his heart raced with anxiety. One mistake in front of her had nearly destroyed his confidence, and ever since that day, he had convinced himself that staying unnoticed was the safest way to survive. But life has a strange way of forcing people to face the very thing they fear most. On a rainy Friday evening, Ryan walked into an elegant downtown restaurant expecting to meet a complete stranger arranged by his best friend. Instead, he froze. Sitting across the candlelit table was the one woman he had spent months trying to avoid, his CEO. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to life. For everyone at Hamilton Technologies, Emily Brooks was more than a CEO. She was a legend. She had transformed a struggling company into one of the fastest-growing firms in the country before turning 40. Employees admired her intelligence but feared her standards. She expected excellence from everyone, including herself, and rarely smiled during business meetings. Rumors painted her as cold and impossible to impress, but Ryan never cared about office gossip. His opinion had been formed on the day he accidentally deleted critical files during an important presentation. Although the mistake was eventually fixed, he could never forget the disappointment he thought he saw in Emily's eyes. From that moment forward, he believed she viewed him as incompetent. Ryan accepted the blind date only because his best friend insisted he had been hiding from life for too long. He imagined an ordinary dinner with someone new, maybe the beginning of a fresh chapter. Instead, destiny had arranged something completely different. Emily looked just as surprised as he was. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The awkward silence felt heavier than the storm outside. Ryan's first instinct was to leave, but something in Emily's expression stopped him. She didn't look angry or uncomfortable. She looked relieved. Dinner began with nervous smiles and careful conversations that had nothing to do with work. Ryan expected business talk, but Emily asked about his family, his hobbies, and why he always disappeared after office hours. Little by little, the walls he had built around himself started to crack. He spoke about growing up in a small town, about losing his father at a young age, and about working 2 jobs during college to support his mother. Emily listened quietly, not as a CEO evaluating an employee, but as someone genuinely interested in understanding another human being. As the evening continued, Ryan noticed something he had never seen inside the office. Emily laughed. Not the polite smile employees occasionally witnessed during celebrations, but a warm, genuine laugh that transformed her entire face. She admitted that being a CEO often meant hiding her emotions because people expected strength from her every second of the day. Behind the expensive suits and confident speeches was a woman who often ate dinner alone, carried impossible responsibilities, and wondered if anyone truly knew who she was beyond her job title. Ryan realized he had spent months fearing someone he had never actually known. Over the following weeks, their unexpected meeting stayed a secret. At work they remained professional, speaking only when necessary. Outside the office, they slowly became friends. They explored bookstores, volunteered at a community shelter, and discovered they shared a love for quiet places rather than glamorous events. Ryan admired how Emily remembered the names of every volunteer and thanked every staff member personally. She admired Ryan's compassion, noticing how he always helped others without expecting recognition. Still, the growing friendship created a difficult emotional burden. Ryan worried people would assume he wanted promotions through personal connections. Emily feared accusations of favoritism that could damage both the company and Ryan's reputation. The closer they became, the more impossible the situation felt. Then everything changed. A major financial crisis struck Hamilton Technologies after a key investor unexpectedly withdrew funding. Panic spread throughout the company. Departments prepared for layoffs, employees feared losing their homes, and the once energetic office became filled with uncertainty. Emily carried the pressure alone, spending sleepless nights, searching for solutions while refusing to let her employees see how exhausted she truly was. Ryan watched from a distance as the woman everyone believed was fearless slowly broke under the weight of responsibility. One evening he found her sitting alone in the empty conference room, staring silently at financial reports. For the first time, he saw tears in her eyes. Not because she feared losing her own success, but because hundreds of families depended on decisions she had to make. That night changed everything inside Ryan. Instead of protecting himself, he decided to help. Using skills he had quietly developed over the years, Ryan spent every evening analyzing company data and searching for overlooked opportunities. Within days he created a detailed recovery proposal that identified wasteful expenses, introduced new service ideas, and suggested partnerships competitors had ignored. He expected management to dismiss it, but Emily insisted the executive board review every page. The plan worked. Within months, the company stabilized. Layoffs were avoided. Investors returned after seeing renewed confidence in the business. Employees celebrated what they believed was another brilliant decision by their CEO. Very few people knew the quiet employee who had almost been forgotten had helped save the company. Emily wanted to publicly recognize Ryan, but he declined the spotlight. He believed helping people was more important than receiving applause. His humility touched Emily more deeply than any business achievement ever could. Eventually, rumors about their growing friendship spread throughout the office. Whispers followed them through hallways. Some questioned Ryan's intentions while others criticized Emily's professionalism. The pressure became unbearable. Rather than allowing gossip to define their story, Emily made one of the hardest decisions of her career. She openly informed the board about their relationship, temporarily stepped away from decisions involving Ryan, and ensured complete transparency. Her honesty surprised everyone. Instead of creating scandal, it earned respect. People realized integrity wasn't about avoiding difficult situations. It was about handling them with honesty and fairness. Months later, Ryan accepted a position at another company where he could build his own career independently. It wasn't because he wanted to leave Emily. It was because he wanted the world to recognize his achievements without questioning his character. Emily supported his decision despite knowing it meant seeing him less often. Real love, they discovered, wasn't about holding someone close. It was about helping them become the best version of themselves. A year later, on another rainy evening, they returned to the same restaurant where fate had first surprised them. This time there was no fear, no uncertainty, and no hidden emotions. There were only two people who had learned that first impressions are often incomplete, that kindness can exist behind strict expectations, and that courage sometimes means staying when every instinct tells you to run away. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more emotional stories that remind us the world is still full of compassion and second chances. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, do you believe destiny brings the right people together at the perfect time, even when life seems unfair? We'd love to read your thoughts. Ryan once believed avoiding his CEO would protect him from failure. Instead, life placed her directly across the dinner table and gave him something far greater than success. It gave him understanding. It taught him that every person carries invisible battles, that fear often hides incredible opportunities, and that the strongest relationships are built not on perfect beginnings, but on patience, honesty, and kindness. Sometimes the person we try hardest to avoid becomes the very person who helps us discover who we were always meant to be. And perhaps that is life's quiet reminder that second chances often arrive wearing the face we least expect.